Hello, I'm Ricardo, and today we're going to continue working on our bucket barn. Last video was phase 2A, setting the runs. We got it all set, got the levels right, got them all balanced out. Today we're going to be putting up a wall. So 2A was building the base. 2B, or not 2B, is putting up a sunblock. We need a sunblock here, so this will be 2B. At my house, I have a balcony wall, so that'd be 2A, because I don't need 2B. It's 2B not. So here's a video on my house that shows you where my wall is and what is going on there. So I don't need to build a wall. At my place, I have a balcony wall here which blocks the sunlight. As the buckets get moved closer together, they will block the sunlight also. So if you don't have a balcony wall, you'll need to go to phase 2B. If you do have one, it's phase 2B not. Here's some of the tools: gloves, wire cutters, drill bits, drill, battery, jigsaw, blades, tape measure. Now I use Sharpie for marking where I need to cut things on the fencing. Battery charger if I need it. Now attaching the fencing to the 2x4s, there's a couple of different ways of doing it, and I'm going to show you 4 of them. One is this is a slat, redwood slat. This will look really nice, and being as this is in the parking lot, people are going to see it. We're going to use this one. There's also a 1x2 that can be used, but you can see it's quite a bit thicker than the slat. I didn't want that type of thickness. I wanted this look. This is the fencing, and then there's always just using a big washer with a screw holding the fencing in. This is the fencing. Sorry about the noise. It's 6 foot by 16 feet long. So I should have plenty of material here to build all of my fencing, all my sunblock. So the first thing we need to do, we need to mark our fencing and get to the proper height of this. All I'm going to be doing is making a few measurements: 34, 34, 34. So I need to mark 34 a couple places. That's how high my fence is going to be. And I'm going to start here and wrap around to here. These will get a second fencing done. We want to make sure that our bottom is level. Make a couple of marks at 34. I mark a number of spots so that I can find it easier. Now I have those marked. We need to find out how long. So we need 144 inches to do a full wraparound. Okay, marked. This one is about 144. So instead of measuring it all out again, I'm just going to follow this reed down and make a few marks on it So as I cut it, I know where I'm cutting. Then I'm going to do one more measurement up, 34. Make sure we have a good straight line as much as we possibly can. So I've got a corner here, one reed down, and across. I will cut this with my jigsaw using a fine-tooth blade. Because it's reed, a fine tooth may be better. If I had 10 snips, I might try that. I don't think scissors would work. I won't use a circular saw because it will rip it all apart. So I'll cut this up and then we'll get to the next step. Yeah, we're all marked. Ready to cut. To lift this up so I can cut it, I just put in some buckets, laid it out, and I'll just cut along my line here. This is going to take a while, so I'll put it on fast forward. I got this part cut, and here's my line, so I'm going to come down and trim all these wires out. All I'm doing is just cutting the wire, or trying to cut the wire. Then I'm going to take it and I'm going to twist this wire back around to hold that last piece in and then roll it over. Same with this other side. I put my cardboard on and I've duct taped it to a couple of buckets to make sure it stays in place. Then I'm putting my fencing on where I want it. I'm just going to keep wrapping it around. Until I get to my next plant. Just there we go. So I'm now ready to put on my tack piece. Need my screw gun, some screws. I'm going to pre-drill my tack piece and get everything set up. I'll be right back. So what I've done on that end, being as I'm here by myself, I took a piece of duct tape and taped that end up where it's going to be, but I taped it so the sticky part was out. That way I can move it to adjust it. This short piece will be going on right here. So I want to make sure that I have the proper spacing here. So that's where it goes. First one's in. Now I'll do the other three. And these are just 1 5/8 screws long enough to go through and into the 2x4. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is put 2 countersink holes in there, screw that to the side, cut a piece to the end, and then to the side. And the first phase of this phase 2.B is done. We've got all of our slats on now. Underneath this one is the drain bucket, which we pull out from the back. So we're going to just walk along and see how much nicer that looks. And then down here, you can see we have our black bucket here. We'll be adding a second sunblock to these back buckets and leaving a space down here so we can get these buckets out from the back. We'll pull them out. And when you're using your drain buckets, make sure you use your drain bucket before you water. Well, I had to come back. Yesterday it was so hot that my phone quit. It just said, I'm done. I took a 25-minute break for it to cool down, and I shot another 5 minutes and then the battery drained. So I had no phone, I had no camera, and I was wore out from the heat also. So today I'm just going to show you what we've done so you can see where we're at. The fencing is up, but there's a couple of things, excuse me, a couple of things we need to kind of go over. So this is what it looks like using the redwood slats. Very clean, went all the way around. But in the process, when I put this fencing in, I did run across a problem. We're going to be using this tray to put grow mushrooms underneath here, but the fencing's in the way. So for me to get this to slide inside, I'm going to have to cut this fencing out. Before I cut the fencing out, I want to put in an attachment here to hold the fencing in. This is the other end of the bucket garden runs. You can see we're using the redwood slats, but this fencing in the back here, I did not attach it to the 2x4s. This is just sitting there being held up by the buckets and the 2x4s. So when I cut the fencing out underneath there so we can get the bin in to grow our mushrooms, I'm going to attach the fencing to the 2x4s down in here. And I'll show you how I do that. Screw gun, 2 washers, 2 screws. I'm just going to put them in right here just to hold this up. You can see the difference between a nice looking redwood slat, which will hold all the way across, and a couple of screws that are going to hold just a few sections. Now in the back rack, because there's so many other things holding up the fencing, 2 screws would be fine. So all I got to do now is cut that area out underneath with a jigsaw. Then the bin will slip underneath there and everything will be good. I cut the fencing out with a jigsaw and cut the wires. Now the mushroom bin fits underneath the buckets fine. I will need to put a door on it because we have lots of cats in the areas and they'll end up using it as a potty box. But that's another project for another day. Hello, I'm Ricardo. I'm from My Bucket Garden. And today we're going to be doing phase 2B, or not to be, if that's what you don't need. We have okay, I know I put a line on here somewhere. And that's why you put more line than you need. So There we go. Come on. Okay. Need a break. It's hot. These didn't work very well at all. That's why they don't close properly. Make sure you get good ones. These are cheap. These do work. All I'm doing is cutting the wire, or trying to cut the wire. I did not attach it to the 2x4s. It's just sitting there being held up by the buckets and the 2x4s. So when I change, so when I move the God. So when I cut the so when I cut the fencing out underneath there so we can get the bin in to grow